So you've heard me say many times now how the acute inflammatory response is absolutely essential for healing of all types. In fact, it is the only way that your body can heal. You absolutely must go through the acute inflammatory response in order for your body to heal whatever has been damaged. So I've come up with another analogy that will hopefully help you the next time you have an injury and to help you to recover from your own injury. Imagine that it is the fall and there are dead leaves all throughout your grass, right? The leaves are killing your grass. So what do? Well, first, you have to rake those leaves up into piles, and then you put those leaves, those piles of leaves, into trash bags. And then finally, you take the trash bags out, away, so they can be disposed of. Well, healing of your soft tissue is the exact opposite steps in terms of allowing soft tissue to heal. When facing any injury, we can say the hamstrings, but this is the same process no matter what we're talking about. Imagine that the injury, whether it's been days or weeks or months or even years for the injury, the debris which resulted from the damage, from the micro tears in the tissue, that debris has been collected up into trash bags. So it starts off in trash bags. So what do we need to do? The first step is to break those trash bags open so that now we have piles of leaves and debris instead of trash bags. The body can much better handle piles of leaves than it can trash bags of leaves. With piles of leaves, it could eventually break those piles down and get rid of them. However, to make things easier, the next step is to then spread those leaves out throughout the yard. When you spread those leaves out, you maximize your lymphatic system's opportunity to get rid of those leaves, to take them away. Your lymphatic system, in this case, is the garbage collection system for your body. The lymphatic vessels pick up large proteins of debris and takes those proteins away to the city dumpsters. You have tons of them, and these are your lymph nodes. So once those leaves, the dead leaves and debris have been removed, now your body can then regrow the dead grass. It can then produce fresh new grass. And that's what you want for your hamstrings, your shoulder, your neck, your calves, whatever body part we're talking about. We need to remove the debris, and then the healing can occur. The healing cannot happen as long as you have the dead leaves suppressing the ability of the body to regrow fresh new grass. This will happen once the dead leaves have been sufficiently removed. Now, before we call upon the immense power of the acute inflammatory process, an important first step is to prepare. Now, why prepare? Because we're talking about a human here. We all have feelings, emotions, we have fear. And fear is an important reason why we're so tense and we have so much pain in the first place. So we need to gradually introduce the inflammatory process by starting with just sort of introducing pressure to the tissue. It's just a way of gradually working towards the inflammatory process. And I like to start with deep, slow compressions using fists and palms and fingers. This usually works pretty well. This brings awareness to the tissue, to that part of the body. It begins to warm the body part up, increasing blood flow. The nervous system begins to calm down because it feels good. Those compressions are designed to feel good. It's deep but slow. So there's awareness, there's an increased amount of blood flow that it begins immediately. Things begin to soften up. The nervous system begins to calm down. Now you're more ready for what comes next. continuing with preparation is the deep stroking massage, mostly longitudinal. It isn't painful. The idea is simply to continue to bring awareness to the body and to increase blood flow so that the nervous system relaxes more, and now you are mentally and physically prepared for the main course, which comes next. There are a number of ways that one can inflame tissue. I love to use my fists, my knuckles, my elbows, my fingers, using pinpoint pressure to get in very, very deep. So the key here is it must be really deep to get the person's attention, or your attention if you're working on your own body. But on a scale of 0 to 10, it must be an 8, not a 9. If it's too painful, then you'll have the opposite effect. The person will tighten up and they won't be able to let go. You want it to be as painful as possible, but no more. And that would be about an 8, I've discovered. So a 0 it means you're dead. You don't feel anything. You cannot have a 0 ever as long as you are alive. A 10 means you wish you were dead. It's so painful, you never have experienced a 10 in your life. So a 0 and a 10 are both unattainable. You must think this way. They're asymptotes, like on a graph, the dotted lines. You never can touch those lines. You can, however, be at a 9. You cannot be at an 11, by the way. Remember, you can't even be a 10. Let's make sure that's clear. So a 9 is about as high as you can get, or you want to say 9.9. You want to be about an 8. An 8 is high enough that it gets your attention, but it's low enough that you can actually take it and you can, with effort, relax it down. You want to be able to be at an 8. That's the key right there, okay? So that's what I do with my knuckles, my fists, and such. The Chinese cups, which I'm going to demonstrate here, is a way to do the opposite of what I do with my knuckles. It can be very painful, very intense. Chinese cups pull and stretch the tissue. But again, it's the intensity that we're looking for. And there's a reason for this, and I'll cover it more in depth in other videos, but it needs to be painful, meaning an 8. Notice how the skin immediately turns red using the cups. This is important. Again, the idea here is we are inflaming the tissue. We're breaking open those bags and exposing the leaves in the tissue, pulling the leaves out of the bags. When you use the cups, I like to use the cups to drag them along the body to stretch the fascia and muscles, a good myofascial stretch. I go cross fiber, as in here, and also longitudinally, as in here. So both cross fiber and longitudinal to get a thorough stretch and working of that tissue. And again, in your mind, what you're doing is you're opening up those bags, you're getting the leaves out of the bags, you are causing the acute inflammatory process to spring into action, and you know you're doing good for yourself. The more pain you can take, the better. But notice that the skin is not like black and blue. It's just red, okay? You can overdo it, so you don't want to do that here. At this point, the skin is a nice, pretty color. So now the last part of this, the last step is to flush. So you've inflamed it. Now you must flush it. This is an oft neglected step with healthcare workers. There's lots of inflaming going on, but no flushing. There are a lot of ways to inflame injured tissue. Exercising injured tissue will inflame it. Using a Graston tool will inflame tissue. Dry needling will inflame tissue. Deep massage will inflame tissue. Inflaming it is like, removing the leaves from the trash bags, but then you're left with piles of leaves. Flushing it spreads those leaves out. So you need good deep stroking massage with the intent of spreading those leaves out. If you spread those leaves out, your lymphatic system will do its job. If you follow this protocol of inflaming and then flushing, you give yourself the best opportunity for healing. So important. So you flush for a long time. spend as much time as you can flushing, in other words, spreading. Because then, once you've done that, you start all over again. You repeat. Inflame, flush, repeat. When you inflame it again and then flush it again, you're recycling, you're giving again the lymphatic system, your entire immune system, more opportunity to fix the area, to fix your injury. Inflame, flush, repeat. It is like wash, rinse, repeat. If you follow this protocol, it is almost impossible to not heal. The key is you must follow this protocol. Do it as often as you can. You get better as you train. But whatever your injury, inflame, flush, repeat. If you can spend 15 minutes, great. 30 minutes, even better. An hour, even better. That's the key, guys. I'll see you next time.